next segment on Bitcoin and XRP and some of the other digital assets. So let's bring up blockchain backer. Thank you. You want this one or that one?
We'll do this one, it's cool. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Hey! What's going on, everybody? All right, guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me. I'm exceptionally nervous to be up here. Not because I'm scared of you, but I've been given a time limit. And if you watch markets in the morning, I have a tendency to be like, hey, we're gonna keep it short today, guys, and pretty much nobody believes that. So I have to deliver this thing in 30 minutes. So that was very irresponsible of you, Ali. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive into this. I've got a couple of topics I wanna actually talk about. It's blockchain performance and historical data. We'll just kind of go through these slides to give you an understanding of how fast we have to move. I have 108 slides to do in 30 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right in. I wanna thank you all for coming. I wanna thank you for everybody who has had nice comments to say and shaken my hand. It's an honor to meet you. If you haven't said hi, please say hi. I go home tomorrow morning, so I'd love to see you and say hi. But we gotta get going. Okay, all right. I can see it down there. All right, first of all, who am I? I'm Blockchain Backer. I have a YouTube channel with 269,000 subscribers. I also have a Twitter X account with 294,000 subscribers. And I primarily do chart education, and I am a newsletter author. I started my crypto adventure in April of 2017, and I began making YouTube videos in 2019. I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. I've survived multiple bull markets and bear markets, sober. Wanted to crawl into the corner of my closet and cry, but did it sober. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a dedicated enthusiast to studying market behavior. Today, we're gonna be talking about data, and I'm gonna do my best to remove opinions. It's incredibly difficult to do, but what I'm really trying to do today is focus on data without my opinions. Doubt that. Okay. So there's three main topics we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be discussing Bitcoin historical and cyclical behavior, altcoin market historical and cyclical behavior, and the change in the altcoin market and how developer activity has impacted the evolving market. Bitcoin has always led the way in crypto, but the question is, what triggers Bitcoin all-time high breakouts? Is it the block reward halving event? Is it magic 4-year cycles, or is it something else? We'll discuss Bitcoin in 3 sections. We're gonna talk about the block reward halving, we're gonna talk about 4-year cycles, and we're gonna talk about stock market timing. Right here, I've overlaid a chart showing you when the block reward halving has happened and how many days it took to get into a new all-time high. There's gonna be stuff up here that may be difficult to read, but I'll do my best to explain it to you. But you can see there in 2012 and 2013, Bitcoin was in about a 2-year-long bear market, and 84 days after the block reward halving, Bitcoin broke out into a new all-time high. Move over to 2016 and 17, the new all-time high came 180 days after Bitcoin's block reward halving. Move over to 2020 and 2021, it was 224 days after the block reward halving. What are we seeing? 84 days, 180 days, 224 days. It is getting longer and longer and longer. And now suddenly here we are, 51 days before the block reward halving, Bitcoin sets a new all-time high. Next up, Bitcoin operates in 4-year cycles. Now there are nuances to measuring 4-year cycles. Do we measure this from the bottom of a bear to the bottom of a bear? Do we measure it from the peak of a bull market to the peak of a bull market? Or do we measure based on technical and on-chain activity? If you look at the time between bottoms of bear markets for Bitcoin, you can see the last one was about 4 years. We can see 3.94 years there between December of 2018 to December of 2022. Happened to be almost 4 years between the bottoms prior to that at 3.92 years. However, the one prior to that was only 3.15 years. If you look at it from peak to peak, you can see 3.9 years, 4.05 years. However, one prior, 2.48 years. So we're talking about 4 years, 4-year cycles happening, but we have 2 data points that we actually end up looking at. If we extrapolated out and continued at 4-year cycles, you would essentially believe that the top of the next Bitcoin bull run will come in October of 2025, and that the bear market would set in until November of 2026. This is the model most people are using right now. Now, we've gotten back to the all-time high. We're doing 4-year cycles. We still have another 1.5 years left. But there's one problem. I've got a lot of problems. But there's one problem. Technical behavior, on-chain behavior, and the altcoin market suggest the last cycle was actually only 3.32 years long. Technical behavior suggests the true technical top of Bitcoin was when Coinbase IPO'd in April of 2021, which actually moves, here we go, boom, the peak to over there, rather than November of 2021. We can see this with the technical behavior and the technical oscillators on the monthly time frame in there to see that the strength of the market completely evaporated in May of 2021. You look back over there to December of 2017, the peak of the previous bull run. You can see that oscillators over there with the relative strength index, that guy right there, collapses on itself from the actual peak of the market. You look over here, we completely collapse there in May and April of 2021. You can also see that in the stochastic RSI, and the way to think about these are just oscillations of strength in the market that we just evaporated in strength. Buyers vanished at that point. We can also see that in other aspects of the market rather than just looking at oscillators or technical indicators. We can see this is the peak of the market in 2017. So we're now moving back a whole cycle. And this is where the peak of the altcoin market happens. And you can see when Bitcoin goes into distribution in there, all of the altcoins peak right there at the very end of the actual cycle in 2017 and 2018. Move over to 2021, you can see 90% of the altcoin market peaks right there in April and May of 2021. Far different from what you would expect if the peak of the market actually occurred in November of 2022, or November of 2021, excuse me. Price behavior. We can even see it in the actual price behavior that the market topped in April and May of 2021 by looking at what bear market behavior looks like deep into the market. Right there, right there. Those are completely identical phases of being much deeper into a bear market rather than November being a blow-off top. We can actually overlay that price behavior from 2018 over to 2021, nearly identical. I mean really identical. I mean really freaking identical. And then we go and hit the bottom. We can also move over and take a peek back at 2014 to see what the second leg of a bear market looks like right in here. Take it, put it over here. What do you get? The exact same thing, the exact same distance, the capitulation leg, the end of the market happening. So what it suggests is that we actually have been in a bear market much longer than we actually thought that we were, and the altcoin market told it to us as well. So we can sit there and hypothesize that it was or it wasn't, but the altcoin market even tells us that was true. And if you extrapolate out from 3.32 years, which is also what the altcoin market says it was, 3.34 years. Why are we so early right now? Why are we hitting an all-time high for Bitcoin if we're only this far into it? If the top of the market was November of 2021? It's because the top was April of 2021. And we're actually much more on time with where we should be if we were doing a 4-year cycle or a similar cycle of the past. So extrapolate that out, 3.32 years. Remember, 4-year cycles would suggest that your top comes in in October of 2025. What if it's only 3.32 years? We're actually all done. The gig is up by August of 2024. There's a problem with this, though. There's a problem with measuring how much longer. And that's the time between the peaks is very inconsistent. 2.48 years, 4.05 years, and 3.32 years. Good luck guessing. So does Bitcoin follow 4-year cycles from peak to peak? Big debate. Does Bitcoin take flight after the same time after block reward halvings? We just hit a new all-time high before the block reward halving, right? Longer, suddenly before. I don't think so. So it's more nuanced to measure from peak to peak. It's not consistent from block reward halving dates, and it's not consistent every 4 years. There's even inconsistency of when the all-time high breaks. That even if you look at it from this manner of the peak being in April of 2021, and we're setting new all-time highs right now, we're not consistent. And for those who are like, I absolutely refuse to believe that the peak was April and May of 2021, it was November, well then we're even way more off of inconsistency for block reward halvings and for 4-year cycles. With this inconsistency between the peaks and the inconsistency between the breakout into new all-time highs, I'm always asking myself, what is the true catalyst? What is consistent? It's the stock market. This is the NASDAQ. This is from 2022 through 2024. You can see that November of 2021, let's move to the next one. There's a 9-day difference between the peak of Bitcoin and the peak of the NASDAQ. And if we just look at it from this manner, you can see the similarities of them falling together all throughout the 2022 bear market for Bitcoin. It's the same thing. See if we can do this. The NASDAQ falls. Then Bitcoin falls and Luna collapses. The NASDAQ falls. Bitcoin falls and Celsius fails. NASDAQ holds. Sets a new low. FTX collapses. NASDAQ falls to its low. Boom. They both recover together and off and away they go. There's no magic. It's all going together with liquidity flows. That's the big picture of it from 2022 to 2024. But Bitcoin being that in sync with the NASDAQ is actually highly unusual. I just thought it was actually pretty interesting to show you how similar they actually are, because when you see things visually, it's pretty hard to debate it. But Bitcoin typically does not follow it day to day or month to month with the stock market that closely. But Bitcoin has followed the stock market into new all-time highs far more consistently than the 4-year cycle or the block reward halving. And that the reason why these are all on weird, wonky times, if we're supposed to be following the block reward halving, and if we're supposed to be following 4-year cycles, why are all those different? Why are we not exactly the same amount of days after the block reward halving every single time? Why are we ahead of it right now? And it's because it breaks out with the stock market. This one right here, this is 2013. The great financial crisis, the moment that we broke out from the great financial crisis with the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the moment that it sent Bitcoin roaring off into its bull run. Happens within 12 days. Right here, this is where we're going to talk about this for just a minute because it's going to lead to something else that many of you have heard, but it's still incredibly important. I thought I needed to include it in this presentation. There are really there's several indexes in the United States stock market, but there's 4 really in particular that I pay attention to. You got the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you have the NASDAQ, you have the S&P 500, and you have the Russell 2000. The Dow Jones is going to be 30 really big cap stuff. We're talking Walmart, we're talking Coca-Cola, you know practically every company in the Dow 30. But when we get down to the Russell 2000, these are a lot of like our small cap to mid cap stocks. And 99% of them you have never heard of. But they're a big part of the United States economy. They employ millions of people. And when we see expansion happen in the United States stock market, we see the Russell 2000 break out with the Dow Jones, and we see Bitcoin go at the same time. You can see that we're in a bear market for the United States stock market for 5 to 6 years right in there. The Russell 2000, the 2,000 small to mid cap United States companies break out into a new all-time high. Bitcoin, Dow Jones, both go as well. We have expansion happening, and that sets off the 2013 bull run for Bitcoin is everything going. We also had the exact same thing happen in 2016. You can see that it all just consolidates in here for the Russell and for the Dow. Bitcoin in a full-blown bear market during this entire range. They both leave on the same day. It's really important to see that. The Russell 2000 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average both break out into new all-time highs the same day. 56 days later, Bitcoin breaks out from its multi-year bear market and goes roaring off into the sunset. Same thing happens in 2020. Russell 2000 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Wait, we're going to get to it. There we go, right there. They break out at the same time. The Dow and the Russell both break out. 33 days later, Bitcoin breaks from its bear market, off and away it goes. There's one time where it didn't. That was in 2019. And in 2019, the Dow Jones broke out into a new all-time high, but something interesting happened where the Russell didn't go with it. And then things went awry when COVID happened. I'm not going to get into the Fed. I know nobody wants to hear this, but we were also completing a hiking cycle. We had paused, just like we've paused right now. But then everything hits the fan, and Bitcoin doesn't go along with it. Bitcoin doesn't fall for the trap of the Dow going into the new all-time high. Neither does the Russell. And so, of course, you've probably seen this on Twitter. You've seen this on my YouTube channel. The concerns I have with the Dow Jones being at the level it's at the exact same level that it was at for the Roaring 20s, which ultimately led to the Great Depression. Good news is this past week, I have not had the opportunity to watch the Fed meeting or get on YouTube and spend any time, but fortunately, we did at least see the Dow poke its head up a little bit higher above there. So there's a little optimism to happen right there, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. But the thing that we see in every expansionary event, whether it's 2013, 2017, or 2021, is we see all indexes go together. Russell, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, all of them go together. That's what we continuously keep seeing, yet this time is very different. Something else is going on out there in the market right now, and it's very difficult to understand what is happening in here, that the Russell 2000 is not following the Dow. We have seen it in 2020, we've seen it in 2017, and we even saw it in 2013, that the Russell led the way or went at the exact same time as the Dow did. But for some reason this time, it's not. And what we're seeing is a very similar, if you can't wrap your head around what that means, it's what we actually just talked about just a moment ago. That where what we saw was the retail euphoria happen in April and May of 2021 for crypto, laser eyes, diamond hands, we're all gonna make it. But 90% of the market's still topped back here. Yet Bitcoin set that new little high. That's the same phenomenon of what you're seeing right here. That the stock market is incredibly consolidated into just a few assets, and it's not expanding out throughout the whole stock market. And that is just very different. And I don't have the answer for you to tell you, here's what this means and blah, 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 but we can look to reference points to see where we've seen something like that before, and really it would be something like that. I hope it's not, but we're all sitting here talking 4-year cycles, we're all sitting here talking block reward halvings and all those things and ETFs and all of that. But this is something that is just constantly on my radar. It's why you were constantly hearing me talk about it on my YouTube channel. Look, man, I want to come on here. I want to be a big fat bull. I want to get onto YouTube. I want to say, we're all going to make it. Look at this, the timing of this thing. It's just like where it always should be. Let's just extrapolate block reward halvings and it's going to be all great. There's something weird going on. And we just got to keep our eyes on it. Fortunately, the Dow did poke above the 4.236 extension this week. So we'll see how it goes next week. But we really want that Russell 2000 to catch up to stop scaring us a little bit, because I guarantee, well, I'm not going to guarantee anything, but go look at your retirement account if you have a 401k. If you have a Fidelity account, retirement year 2050, 2060, you have anything. Go look at it. Your retirement account is not going to look like that. It's going to look like that. because it's not a full-blown expansion happening in the United States stock market. It's incredibly consolidated. And what you will see with your retirement account is that during these time periods, your retirement account broke out with it. It went up with it. You expanded with your retirement at the same time, and your retirement looks like that right now. It does not look like that. Okay. On to better stuff? Man, I said I was gonna come up here and have real talk, man. Oh, thank you for not murdering me. All right. Historical and cyclical behavior of the altcoin market, what we truly all care about, right? All right, when does the altcoin market rise? Historically, it rises in only two circumstances. Only two. Anything else, you're kidding yourself. It happens during Bitcoin expansions into new highs, and it happens during Bitcoin distribution. For example, in 2016 and 2017, you can see the altcoin market, Bitcoin goes into expansion, altcoin market rips. XRP is no different. It goes with the altcoin market, and as you can see in this example, look how sad XRP is right here. Look where Bitcoin already is right there. We've seen this movie before, guys. It's not new. But what you clearly see is it took expansion for the whole altcoin market and XRP at the same time. Then move over to 2020 and 2021, expansion for Bitcoin. Bitcoin gets back to the new all-time high. You can see where the altcoin market is at that time. Not very impressive back at the all-time high in 2020. Expansion occurs, Bitcoin goes, off and away goes the altcoin market. If you want to see where we are right now, Bitcoin's back at the all-time high. That's what we looked like back then. I've gone ahead and cut off that expansion just to show you what the altcoin market looked like when Bitcoin was back at the all-time high in 2020 and 2021. And that's what it looks like right now. What's happening right now is not all that different from what we've seen in the past. Next, we're moving on to talking about distribution. So we talked about altcoins tend to rise during expansionary events. So now we're going to talk about distribution events. And that essentially means when Bitcoin is topping. The gig is up, the game is over. All that Bitcoin money, all that profits comes rolling and sloshing all around the cryptocurrency market. You can see that right here in 2017 as Bitcoin had peaked, off and away goes the altcoin market, surging into the distribution of Bitcoin, the end game, it's all over. And you can see that's also when XRP goes as well. Sad, pathetic, Bitcoin way up. And if you're feeling pain right now, this is what 2017 was like. Bitcoin went up 882% between May of 2017 all the way up here. And at that time, during that whole 882% rise, XRP went down 50% and stayed there the whole time. But it goes when it's supposed to go. So we can also see that in 2021. It's the stuff that we were just talking about. And that's what made 2021 very interesting, is because it was almost like expansion and distribution got merged together and happened so quickly. It was only 4 months apart from the breakout into the all-time high and us going into distribution. But you could see that, again, the altcoin market starts to get going and then really finishes itself right there in distribution. And that was when the game was up. Distribution was over for Bitcoin. So those are really the only times throughout history that we end up seeing that. And XRP tends to go at that exact same time as always. It just goes with the rest of the market. There is no flip of the switch. There is no magic that ends up happening. It's liquidity flows throughout the market. The market prices everything at that particular moment in time, and that is when XRP tends to move. Also, just to show you again, we can go back to 2013. The peak of XRP occurs where? At the distribution of Bitcoin at the top. So every single bull run for XRP has occurred during distribution or during expansion for Bitcoin. And that's just data, that's not opinion. That's what I tried to say at the very beginning of this. I'm trying to remove opinions. It's gonna be very hard, and I think I've already given a few, but this is data. Not arguable, it's just fact. So what we're now gonna move on to is to talk about the change in the altcoin market and how developer activity has impacted the evolving market. The performance of the entire altcoin market was extremely muffled in 2021. I think we all know that. This sent me on a research adventure in 2023 to figure out why. It became my main focus to figure out what happened to the altcoin market. In 2017, the average return from the top 10 by market cap was 70x during the first altcoin season that we ended up having. We actually ended up having 2 in 2017, and during the first one, the average return of the top 10 was 70x. And in 2021, by the way, 9 out of 10 assets from the top 10 mooned hard. In 2021, the average return from the top 10 by market cap was only 8x during the only altcoin run from Bitcoin's expansion, and only 2 out of 10 assets from the top 10 mooned hard. 9 out of 10 versus 2 out of 10, 70x versus 8x, 2017 to 2021, and we're just talking about the top coins by market cap. Not talking about trash coins at the bottom, we're talking top by market cap. And this was consistent throughout the top 30 by market cap. On average, 2 out of every 10 assets had big runs, 8 out of 10 of the top 30, nothing. What was also fascinating to see is that out of the top 100 by market cap at the peak of 2018, only 17 of them went on to hit new all-time highs in 2021. Some of them just barely, like Litecoin, Monero, and Stellar Lumens. What the heck? How did the crypto market price itself so poorly in the 2018 through 2020 bear market to where the top coins by market cap were horrible performers? That's the opposite of what happened in 2014 to 2016 bear market, where 9 out of 10 skyrocket. And what I'm essentially saying there is that when the bear market set in for 2014 to 2016, the market all reprices itself, it washes out all the speculation, and then by the time you get to 2016 and the new bull market's about to come, the market has still kept the ones alive that they should be and kept them in the top 10 and washed out all the trash out. That's what happened in 2016, but in 2020 and 2021, that did not happen. Trash still stayed at the top. This question needed to be answered. What was the cause? Why did so few go? Why did so few moon hard? This led me down the journey of studying developer activity, circulating supply inflation, bear market percentage drawdowns, and user activity levels. And it seems there was a mix of all of these factors that ended up having an impact. But today we're going to talk about one subset group that did perform better than the top 20 by market cap, and that was the group with high developer activity, or development activity, or builders. And we did have other subset narratives in 2021 that had their own speculative bubbles, such as meme coins, DeFi, and NFTs. We have that same thing going on right now, AI and meme coins. But when it comes down to the whole crypto market, and we get away from these speculative narratives, I found it very fascinating to notice the outperformance of the subset that had a higher development activity than those that did not. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you data. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Bitcoin's expansion in 2021. And we're going to use this moment right here, December 10th of 2020. Bitcoin's sitting here poking at its all-time high. It's already touched it. It's already set a little new all-time high, but it hasn't expanded yet. The expansion begins right there and goes into the breakout. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the top 20 coins by market cap to see what their respective percentage return was from that exact moment in time, which is really kind of like where we're at right now. We're going to see how they did and what their percentage return here, like Bitcoin, like Polkadot. We're going to use that exact same example, December 10th to the respective peaks. But on December 10th of 2020, as Bitcoin is heading into expansion, the top 20 assets on CoinMarketCap are Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink, Cardano, Polkadot, Binance Coin, Stellar, Lumens, Bitcoin SB, EOS, Monero, Tron, New Economy Movement, Tezos, Filecoin, Uno, Sedlio, Crypto.com Coin, and Neo. This infographic was posted over there on Twitter by Crypto Differ, and this is an infographic from the extrapolated data from Santiment. Not sponsored by them, but I enjoy their data, and it is free. Santiment.net. Sponsor me. Okay, I'm just kidding. I don't accept sponsors. That's why I can come on here and be a jerk. They would never allow that. Okay. All right, so what we have here is we have the top development activity coins, the ones that are doing the most GitHub commits. And what we're gonna see here is our big list of what we're gonna do a battle against the top 20 by market cap. And we're gonna see who has the most development activity, what are your returns from December 10th versus the ones that are top market cap and high development. So our high development activity coins are Cardano, Ethereum, Polkadot, Kusama, Gnosis, Status, Cosmos, Solana, Celo, Arc, Decentraland, Chainlink, IOTA, Stacks, Maker, Synthetics, EOS, Bitcoin, Scale Network, and Lisk. All right, so that's our battle. Here we go. That's what we're gonna do. Who's gonna win? Right? Did the market appropriately price itself during the bear market? And the top market cap wins? Not even close. The higher development activity coins utterly destroy the top by market cap with an average return, which is hard to read, 2,001% for a high development activity versus 742% for market cap. Destruction. There's a problem with looking at averages, and you can have your data get skewed by stuff like that. Solana, 17,350%. It's going to impact the whole data set when it comes to an average. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the data set, but we're going to remove the largest one from this one. We're going to remove the largest one from this one, which happens to be BNB at 2,450, Solana 17,350. We're just going to remove them to see if we get a better data set and remove the anomaly. Still, we end up with 1,193% for all of these versus 652% for all of these as the average, nearly doubled the performance. Played around with them a little bit, put them into different subsets. Top 10 was a top 10 better than the bottom 10. Still, no matter which subset you grabbed from higher development activity, you still beat either subset from top market cap. But this one is fascinating to me, and I think this is really important because there's kind of that problem with looking at averages that you can have such an anomaly of Solana to impact the actual average. But if we look at it from this manner right here, this is called the median. And if you're not familiar with what the median is, essentially we can take a data set and sort it ascending or sort it descending, and we figure out where's the middle point in there. So for example, over here, what we can do is we're sorting all of the top 20 by market cap descending in here, and we put 10 on the top, 10 on the bottom. Where's that middle point right in between that? And that's going to be 495% for the top 20 by market cap, which means half the group did better than 495%, half the group did worse than 495% for total market cap, top 20 by market cap. Looking over there at top development activity coins, that median level, that middle point, remember 495, it's 850. Half the group does better than 850%, half the group does worse. You can just see this too. Look how many get over 1,000%. Look how many get over 1,000% in this group. A whole lot more. And that 495% right there, median, 495% is way down here, which means 17 did better than the median and only 3 did worse. And if you ever hear me be critical and you think I'm a jerk when I talk about Bitcoin and that I don't care about it at this phase of where we're at right now, it's not because I'm a jerk, it's because I just stick to data, and data is important to me. If we are at that particular phase in the market cycle right now for Bitcoin, look where Bitcoin is on this list of both sets. The worst performer, wrecked. The second to worst performer in the entire crummy set. The only one that did worse was Bitcoin SV. Everything else did better than Bitcoin. So I don't come at from the aspect of being a jerk about Bitcoin, I come at it because I look at that data. I played with a bunch of other stuff too, whatever, I'll try to put this PowerPoint online or something like that, I don't know. But either way, I looked at things like shallowest bear, I looked at things like percentage drawdowns, excluding 22% inflation to play around with different groups. But in the end, the thing that still became the most consistent data set, if you were gonna grab anything from a major group, was still, it just came down to development activity. It was the most important thing. All right, we're almost there, guys. We're doing great. We're doing great. We're doing okay? Yeah. All right, is this engaging stuff? Okay, cool. Okay. All right, altcoin market developer activity. All right, this phenomenon has actually continued into 2023 and 2024. The top 20 coins by development activity, according to Sentiment, have been outperforming the top 20 coins by market cap, and have been tracking this for over 6 months, been tracking it since October. And what we can see is that I understand it is kind of difficult to read that, but The average return from the top 20 by development activity has been 172% since October 30th versus Bitcoin at a little bit over 100. That's for development activity coins. Again, you can find what the current ranking is by going to Santiment. You can see here that the altcoins, the majority of them have performed better than Bitcoin from the high development activity list. If we look over at the top 20 by market cap, the average returns has been 121% versus the high development activity, which is 172. Crazy enough, even the top 20 by market cap has outperformed Bitcoin. Far different narrative than what you're going to see on the internet, but that's the data. There's what it looks like for the top 20 by market cap. You can see there's far more coins that sit below Bitcoin than what we saw over here. This has also been weird, or not weird, but it's not what people have been thinking that are using the same 2020 models and the 2016 models, thinking that the Bitcoin dominance would soar. Because this is what typically happens with Bitcoin when it comes to roaring back to the all-time highs. We typically see Bitcoin be the outperformer. This is 2020 right here. As Bitcoin roars all the way back up to the all-time high, it leads the way. That hasn't been the case here. It's been very different. It's those top development coins that have really been killing it. So again, you can see 172% for top development coins. So the question also becomes, because like what we want to say to ourselves is, oh, sweet, we solved the puzzle. That's the answer, right? So does high development activity and developer count automatically mean an asset will perform better? No. However, it did improve those odds from 2 out of 10, like we saw in 2021, to 5 out of 10, or 6 out of 10. And as you saw with those results, the average subset, 2,000% versus 742%. Other factors still remained in play outside of developer activity, such as high circulating supply inflation, user activity levels, how deep the bear market was for an asset, and if an asset was experiencing developer decline. For example, a sore subject, live with it every day of my life, EOS was a top 3 developer coin of 2018 bear market, but developers continued to leave. While they continued to have a high number of devs, the devs were actually leaving. If you actually saw the subset that we looked at earlier of 2020, EOS was actually still in there, if you saw that it was one of the higher development activity ones. But what you would have saw by going to developerreport.com is the trend was actually going the wrong way. Like where they were on the number of commits that were happening, where they were with the total developers, were rapidly deteriorating. And so that's another thing to kind of pay attention to. Even if it's still getting stuff, which direction is it going? Did it used to be a number 3 developer activity and now it's drifted down to number 18? To keep an eye on that kind of trend. But the data speaks for itself, as you can see here. Developer activity 1. One other interesting thing is that we're looking at these right here, that the high development activity has been at 172%, and that over here, top 20 by market cap at 121%. Only 8 of those coins over there have actually beaten Bitcoin. Only 8. 5 of them come from the high development activity group. Of the remaining 3, 2 of them are meme coins, and 1 is BNB. Otherwise, the 5 come from here. More devs equals more users equals more devs, and it becomes a feedback loop. It is the chicken or the egg problem. Which comes first? Do the users come first or do the devs come first? But the data suggests if there's more developers actively working on an ecosystem, the odds increase of a network gaining more value. And with Bitcoin reaching its previous all-time high, it means it's either in expansion or in distribution. Historically positive times for the altcoin market. So, support your devs, build, grow, gain user attention, because the numbers suggest it's important. All right. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like my videos and give them a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need to pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember, have a good one.